Yesterday I got all of my new pigs out into their new home. Well, kind of into their new home. I've got them sectioned off in the little house here just to get them used to where home base is, and because I think they're still a little bit too small, they might be able to escape some parts of this fence. So we'll keep them in here till they get a little bit bigger, get used to this area, and yeah, they should be happy here. I really needed to get them out of the trailer though, because it was getting real dirty in there. And this is a much nicer place to keep them, but also I need to use the trailer today because today I'm going after a second bull to put out with the cows. That's what we're doing today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. I spent several hours cleaning the trailer out yesterday because I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that after you've had pigs in a trailer that sometimes it's difficult to get cows to go in it because there's something about the smell that they don't like. So I don't know if it's true or not, but this trailer needed to be cleaned out anyway, so it was a good excuse to do it. Kind of hard to get too carried away getting this thing pristine because I know I'm just going to be putting bulls in it today, but it's a lot better than it was. The ranch where I get the bulls and the bulls themselves belong to a friend of mine, and I've never actually asked him if I could film while we were loading. I don't know, I was just kind of thought that he wouldn't want to. He's usually pretty busy when we're loading the bulls, and I just don't think that he has the time to sit around and wait for me to move cameras around and do all that sort of thing. So I didn't film anything while I was loading the bulls, and we're gonna pick the video up where I've got the bulls in the back of the trailer and we're just showing up to the ranch. When this guy jumped out of the trailer, he looked kind of like a lost puppy dog. He was just sort of wandering around the corral, checking things out, and he was pretty calm and docile through it all until he heard my bull grunt at him. And of course I wasn't filming when he made that sound, but as soon as he heard him, he charged over there to see what was going on. Well, when I chose this bull, I thought he was quite a bit smaller than the one that I purchased last year. But now that I see them up next to each other, they actually look like they're fairly close in size. So you could see the way that he ran right over to that fence once my bull started making some noise, that had that fence line not been there, we probably would have had a pretty epic battle between these two, which might be impressive on camera, but it's certainly not something that I want, because I don't want the new bull getting injured and I don't want my bull getting injured. So I think separating them with the fence line here is a good idea. It seems to be working so far. I got this guy some hay now and he's settling down a little bit. So I think we will kind of house them like this for a day or so, and once they kind of settle down, then they can go out with the cows. Now you probably noticed that I have 2 more bulls in the trailer. Those aren't gonna stay here. I just picked those up for the neighbor because he gets his bulls from the same place that I do, and he's at work today. So I told him that I would grab his bulls and drop them off. So that's what I'm gonna go do right now. It's been a couple days now since I brought the new bull here to the ranch, so let's walk over there and see how the old bull and the new bull are getting along. I still haven't put them out with the cows yet, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but let's go check on the boys and see how they're doing. As you can see, the grunting, the snorting, and the pawing on the ground has all come to an end now, and ironically, these guys actually hang out with each other all the time with the fence separating them now. I feed them right next to each other, and that was just in an attempt to sort of get them used to each other and make sure that they stayed in close quarters. Looking back, I probably didn't need to do that because the new bull is always right here, whether there is hay or not. So after a couple of days, both of these bulls seem pretty comfortable with each other, but I am sure that once I turn them out and put them together, that there will be some sort of an altercation. Now, I still think that what I'm doing here is time well spent, because if I can turn that altercation into just a little bit of head touching and a little bit of, you know, more displays of how tough I am rather than actually showing each other how tough they are, then it's time well spent. And I think that doing things this way is basically going to lead to that. And one other thing, a little bit off topic, but this new bull actually illustrates something that I've been trying to explain to you guys for a while. A lot of times I get asked about whether or not these Redmond garlic salt blocks work for helping to prevent flies. And it's always really hard to answer that question because yes, they do, but it's hard to really explain how much, because I can show you my cows, but you don't know what fly pressure is normal for my cows and basically what everything should look like. So with the two bulls here though, this is actually a really good example because I can show you my bull that's been eating the Redmond garlic salt for over a year now, and I can show you this new bull who has never had any. If you look at my bull here closely, you'll see that there are a few flies here and there. It's not like they're completely gone. But I would say that overall, his fly pressure is not very much. Now, if we look at the new bull here, you can see that he's got a lot more flies on him. Now, these guys have spent the last couple of days standing virtually right next to each other, and I thought that maybe some of the flies on the new guy might jump over onto my guy, but to me, it's a pretty clear preference that the flies are showing for this new bull. I'm sure some people are going to ask me, why do you go through the trouble of keeping a second bull or getting a second bull? You know, I mean, look how much extra work this is causing me. Well, there's actually a pretty good reason for why I'm going through the extra trouble to do this. And that is because, number one, there is a ratio of how many cows one bull can cover in a timely manner. And here on intensively grazed irrigated pasture, that ratio is quite a bit in the bull's favor. He can cover a lot more cows in my scenario than he would be able to do, say, out on the high desert in Nevada, where he might only see 5 cows in a day. So realistically, there is a chance that one bull could cover all of my cows. I don't think my calving season would be nearly as tight, but he could probably do it. So I still insist on having a second bull because there is a chance that my bull could have something wrong with him. He could get injured during breeding season. There's a lot of different things that could happen. And if he's only covered half of the cows, let's say, or maybe not even that many, then the rest of the herd goes unbred. Having 2 bulls is really just cheap insurance of making sure that all the cows get bred. What I'm hopeful that I'm able to do in the future is to get younger calves and raise them up to be my herd bulls. Now, you guys saw that earlier this year I did get a little bull calf that I will eventually raise up to be a breeding bull. And ideally, I would like to have been able to get 2 of them so that I could raise them up together, and then we don't ever have to really worry about these big blowout fights. Both of these bulls are registered black Angus bulls, and You guys know, if you've been with the channel for any length of time, that I'm all for genetic diversity, and the last couple of years we've had a lot of black bull genetics going into the herd. I feel okay about this though, because when I did have the Hereford bull several years back, I kept a bunch of his daughters. So you got to keep in mind that his daughters are half Hereford, half whatever mom was, probably predominantly black Angus. So their offspring are going to be about 3/4 black Angus, 1/4 Hereford. And to me, that's a pretty decent level of genetic diversity. 50-50 is a little better, but I am pretty happy with that, especially due to the fact that black-hided cattle just seem to bring a lot more money at the sale. And when you look at how well put together these guys are, you know, it's just really hard to make an argument to bring in other genetics when you've got these two boys right here. I mean, just look at them. The next question that I'm sure is going to be on a lot of people's mind is, why are the bulls still locked up? They seem to be getting along pretty well right now, and they look like they could be turned loose. And you know, I kind of tend to agree with you. But the reason why I haven't turned them out yet is because I've still got the cattle back here in these hot wire paddock strip grazing. I'm a little concerned about turning the bulls out on this setup because the new bull certainly has never been grazed this way. He's probably never seen a hot wire before. My bull has seen one, but it's been a while, and I'm not sure. He's probably going to have to test it a few more times to kind of remember what it is. So my concern is that I'm going to turn the two bulls out here, and they're going to get to fighting and get caught up in a wire and drag it halfway across the pasture and ruin my whole rotational grazing setup. So the plan is to wait until I move the cattle into my little pasture here. There's no hot wire in this pasture, it's all solid fences, and I think that that will be a good place to turn them loose. If they do get to fighting a little bit, they've got more room, and every fence that's out here is established and easy to see. So my hope is that they won't destroy any of those fences like they might do with this single strand hot wire. I've noticed a lot of riding behavior out here in the female cow herd, and what that is when one of these cows is going into heat, it's not uncommon for another female cow to jump up and ride her like a bull would. I'm not really sure why they do this, because obviously the female is not going to breed another female, but I think that part of the reason that they display this behavior is because it kind of helps the bulls pick out who's in heat. If a bull is clear across the pasture and he sees cows riding each other, he's going to know that one of those cows is in heat, and he's probably going to run over and get the job done. It's the only thing that I can think of why they do that, you know, and sort of how they've developed this way. And it kind of makes sense. I've also noticed that Buddy here is a really good heat detector. A lot of times when I see cattle riding out here, it's not a female cow riding another female cow. It's Buddy jumping up on the back of somebody. He doesn't really know what he's doing up there, but he just knows he wants to do it. After introducing the Redmond garlic salt blocks to the herd a couple years ago, I've noticed a really good change in our fertility rates. Calving seasons have tightened up a lot, and with all the riding, there's actually some going on right behind me. With all the riding that's going on right now, I know that a lot of these girls are going into heat right now, and in a couple days when these bulls come out, they're gonna have their work cut out for them. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.